Today, I'm going to show you what it's like to drive a 2012 Boss 302 Laguna Seca. As you can see right here, the key I'm holding is the red key. That is the track key. A few things on the exterior. Has the front splitter. It's got two front brake cooling ducts. The Laguna Seca red wheels with the red side stripe package. The red wheels look pretty cool, but they are impossible to keep clean. You can see there's a lot of brake dust on them. In the back, it's got the different aero package, so I have the larger pedestal rear wing and then the Laguna Seca badge on the actual trunk itself, which is pretty cool. All the Boss 302s also have a quad exhaust system. There are two pipes that exit out the back like a normal Mustang GT. Those are primarily responsible for the exhaust gases. There are two side pipes that exit right in front of the rear wheels. Those are there to enhance sound, and it gives the 302 a sound characteristic entirely different from any other Mustang on the road. As you open up, you can see got the Recaro racing seats. Those are standard on all the Laguna Secas along with the Torsen diff. Those are options on the normal Boss 302. So the interior of the Boss 302 was pretty much similar to normal Mustang GTs of this generation. Something special you'll notice is there are no rear seats. That is deleted in the Laguna Seca package. And also there is a cross brace for extra stiffness for the chassis. Red Boss 302 embroidery on the seats. Red key. Let's fire her up. So the same 5-liter V8 Coyote engine is in this car, but it's been revised extensively. Different intake manifold, a lot of different things. It's actually got forged internals. Pretty much they made it a higher revving engine. Raised the RPM red line to 7,500 RPM, and horsepower is higher. 444 horsepower. Torque is slightly down to 380 pound-feet of torque, but it likes to rev. 6-speed manual transmission was the only option. It is a Getrag MT82 unit found in all the Mustang GTs of this generation. It's one of the weaknesses of this car. It's quite bad. Mine had problems. I don't like it at all, really, in stock form. I actually lost a 5th gear synchro in this car. Got a built one with treated gears and synchros and heavily upgraded that can handle a ton of power. That's in here now with different fluid, and it's just miles better than the stock transmission. Something else that's special to the Laguna Seca is this right here, this performance cluster. On the left you get pressure, oil pressure. On the right you get temperature. In the middle is this little computerized data tracker thing. It shows you lateral G's, longitudinal G's, 0 to 60 timer, quarter-mile timer. It's a really cool little thing that the normal Boss 302s do not have. They got rid of this for the 13 model year also. On the inside it's very basic, very Spartan. I have air conditioning, I have a radio, and that is pretty much it. There really isn't any leather. It's just Alcantara, cloth. The bucket seats, as I mentioned earlier, the Recaro bucket seats are actually really comfortable. They hold you in your seat really well, but are also not way too hard, so on long road trips it's actually not horrible. Let's get out of the neighborhood. They removed a lot of the sound deadening in this car, so it is quite loud. You get some gear noise, you get road noise, tire noise, but you do hear the engine noise a lot better. So this car was designed to beat the E92 M3 around Laguna Seca, a task that they accomplished. Normal Mustang GTs don't handle insanely well. The solid rear axle coupled with they're pretty heavy and a relatively soft suspension means that there's a fair amount of body roll. It's kind of nose heavy. The Boss 302 feels like an entirely different vehicle. Before I purchased this car, I went and drove a normal Boss 302, and both myself and Parker were just completely blown away by how well it handled, how well it sounded for a stock car. We were amazed at what Ford had done to completely transform the normal Mustang GT. It has completely different suspension, actually adjustable shocks, which are really cool. There are two strut towers. in the front and then 2 in the rear beneath the trunk lining, where you just rotate a small screw and it allows you to completely change the stiffness. 1 through 5 are the settings. 1 is the softest, comes from the factory at 2, and 5 is the hardest, which most people only reserve for when they're on the track, which is what I'm actually running right now. It makes the ride quite harsh, but best handling mode. So like I was saying, this car handles turns quite well. It is pretty neutral. I mean, it does not feel nose heavy, and you can point it. Again, it's not a very small car. It's not light. I wouldn't say it's nimble, but it is pretty fast, and it is definitely fun to take through the corners. Very different from a stock Mustang GT50. What you do sacrifice is the interior comforts. I mean, the GT50, with a premium, it'll come with leather seats. They're heated. You got navigation. This has none of those things. You get the Torset differential, you get the brake cooler, there's a transmission cooler, higher revving engine, more horsepower than the stock one. It's a lighter car, wider tires, more advanced suspension. All these add up to make the Boss 302 one of the best handling Mustangs ever built. I would argue that it was the best handling Mustang up until the latest Shelby GT350 came out, which kind of blew it out of the water. It's a similar type of principle. It's kind of the spiritual successor to the Boss 302. High revving, naturally aspirated V8 engine, rear wheel drive, advanced suspension, 6-speed manual transmission. It is a good and fun combination. Something you can really tell where Ford works the magic is with the normal Mustangs, if you try to exit a corner and put the power down, if there's any road imperfection, you're gonna get axle hop. It's not gonna want to grip. With this car, it does much better. It's still got a solid rear axle, but it will grip and go. There's a reason why it's so fast around the track. I mean, the E92 M3 is no slouch. That is a pretty serious performance vehicle, and this thing will keep up or beat it around the track for about half the price. When brand new, a Boss 302 stickered for about $40,000. The Laguna Seca package was, I think, around $7 grand. So this thing, I think, had a MSRP of $47,000, whereas an M3 is gonna brand new sticker for about 70 something. Now these cars have depreciated down. They're not, obviously not as cheap as normal Mustangs, but they are down to a relatively affordable for a sub $40,000 car. I personally think the 302 is one of the coolest. You gonna go? Yep, now you can go. It's one of the coolest cars, performance cars, because the rareness, the uniqueness. It's a pretty dang good performance car too. For Laguna Secas, they were limited to 750 vehicles. Total production ended up being around 767 because of some of the cars like mine. Mine is actually an MP level. Serial number is MP19. It's not part of the normal production run of cars, but normal Boss 302s, I believe, had 2,500 cars built for a total of about 3,200 something. That's for the 2012 model year and then the 2013 model year. Not very common. So as I mentioned, this car, I'm running the track key right now, the red key. The Boss 302 came with 2 separate keys. A red one that was programmed by the dealer as a track key. Ford claims they changed 300 something different engine parameters, throttle response. There's many things that they supposedly changed. The 2 really cool things is there is a track key idle that is enabled that gives you a much more lopey cam sound. And then the other one is that it has launch control, 2-stage launch control. You set it up, put the clutch in, give it the gas, and then drop the clutch, and it has a predetermined RPM setting that you can change yourself. So you can launch it from 3,000 RPM, 4,000 RPM, 5,000 RPM, whatever you want. Pretty cool for the drag strip. Now, this Mustang wasn't designed like the normal Mustangs. Normal Mustangs, you know, blah, 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 they can only go in a straight line. You try to take a corner, you're not gonna make it, you're gonna crash. And that's true. Like the Shelby GT500, I mean, they're certainly crazy fast in a straight line, but then when you make it turn, it just didn't seem very happy about it. It did not want to do that. This thing loves turns. it sounds. There are a lot of aftermarket exhaust setups you can do on these cars. Some people get rid of the side exhaust. I personally don't like that. I think it's a big part of the character of the car, the side pipes. But I mean, you go through a tunnel, you go through anywhere like a wall on the freeway, the center divider, roll the window down, give it some gas, and then just hear it reverberate off the side. The side exhaust with their little restrictor plates, if you take those out, it'll pop, it'll crack on overrun. It is a really good sounding car for being a stock vehicle from the factory. I mean, it's not the loudest. There are louder cars out there, but the quality of sound is, I think, is really good. If you're looking for a sports car between $30,000 to about $45,000, some of the best options you have out there are E92 M3, which is a car I seriously considered buying. There are some Corvette Z06s, the C6 Z06 that have dropped down there. E46 M3s, really clean ones. Really clean ones. Never mind about that one. And then the Boss 302. It deserves your consideration, especially if you like American muscle cars. It is kind of the king of Mustangs of this generation. This and the Shelby GT500, and these are more rare than the Shelby GT500s. They handle great. They are limited production runs, so they're desirable. They sound great. They look really unique. And they have depreciated down to a point where it's pretty affordable. There are a lot of these cars have been purchased by retired guys or whatever. They retired and they wanted a Mustang, so they bought a Boss 302, and they have sat in a garage. They have like 3,000 miles on them. So radar, there are some cars like that, but then there are ones like mine. I bought mine to drive, to have fun with it. So I mean, I've already put about 3,000 miles on it in the first month of owning it. So I'm definitely driving this car a lot. It is fun. People will compliment you on the car. Little kids in the neighborhood will point, because it's clearly not a normal Mustang. Mine being black and red with the red roof and the bright red wheels, the red mirrors, does stand out. But I like it. I mean, it is a very unique car. The front splitter makes it look like a pure race car, which is a big part of what sold me on the appearance of the car. Could not decide between the 2012 and 2013, and I decided the 12s looked more aggressive. A few more things. This thing has adjustable steering. You go in here and change the settings. You go between comfort, normal, and sport. Sport makes it a bit heavier. That's what I usually drive it in. Also, the track key, pretty much use that 100% of the time, because why not? Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, kind of a little glimpse into what it's like to own and drive a Boss 302. Like always, please browse our channel and subscribe. Look forward to seeing you guys next video.